Talk story with Spice. Spice. Island Spice.
Niki kamauna ikalaye, oahi ale ale lai wenwa, uki ale ikalani kababawe oaikini, alahi ale no nalo kaipuha, halaula mau kau mai, ngai pai kale ohe ole.
Hey, aloha guys. Welcome to another episode of Talk Story with Spice. I'm your host, Spice Prince, and today we've got someone super special, someone I would consider almost Superman, just a waterman across the board. We've got some history. Robbed a couple banks together. Stole the space shuttle, took it for a joyride, pushed an old lady into the half pipe at the skate park. She went and sent it. And so, guys, I want to welcome Mr. Zane Schweitzer. So, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Spice. Thanks for having me. Stoked to be able to be a part of this podcast for all your viewers out there and be able to tell your story and, of course, my story as well and how they tie together.
Yeah, so, wow, where do we begin with your whole repertoire of things that you have to offer in your world? Obviously, I think we start from the beginning. And you know what? Before we start, I want to reach out to your ohana and your family and thank them for having me over for the holidays, man. That was really special to me to have me over, and it was just a great, meaningful thing to experience with your family because I have so much love for your family and respect. I also want to give a little shout out to your brother. During this episode, we're going to be playing a lot of videos of what you're actually doing, from your windsurfing to your stand-up to a lot of things that you do. And I want to give a shout out to your brother, Matty. So if any of you need expert, amazing footage, video, whether it's for your social media, professional movie stuff, you can find Matty Schweitzer and his skills to help you out at Matty
Matso Media or MattSchweitzer.com.
Yeah, and his Instagram is
Matso, MAT50.
MAT50, guys. So you can't go wrong using this guy because he's just on it. Probably the best thing to start with is your family, where your inspiration comes from. You're kind of in it's like where I've got this in my bloodline, you're a waterman across the board in your bloodline. If I'm correct, your grandfather pretty much kind of invented windsurfing or took it just next level. So what do you want to tell our viewers and listeners?
Yeah, well, of course, I have to give so much credit to my ohana and my environment around me for all the success I've had today. Being able to be surrounded by positive influences and mentors is really what makes success happen. And fortunate enough for me, I had a lot of positive influences around growing up on Maui, and of course starting with my family. My grandfather invented, I guess you could say, created the sport of windsurfing in California in the late 60s, and not only did he come up with the all the hard work it took to put it together, but they put their house and their cars and everything up for sale in order to make it happen. You know, they put their livelihood, and the quality of their life on the line because they believed in the sport and they loved, you know, what the ocean could bring to you. And, you know, it's a really funny story actually because a lot of the watermen that have kind of paved the way for most of the ocean sports we know today were, you know, my grandfather's friends in college. You know, my grandfather would sit at Malibu with his buddies, Grubby Clark, Hobie Alter, Tom Moray, and they'd be figuring out ways to have more fun on the water every day, you know. And, you know, Tom Moray was thinking, oh, what about our friends who don't surf? They could ride on a boogie board and on a wave. He invented the boogie board. Then Grubby Clark revolutionized surfing with Clark foam.
Yeah, wow.
And Hobie Alter, what about those days there's a little bit of wind and we could all go ride waves together and go through the
so
wind
your grandfather spent time with all those guys?
They were best friends in school. And
wow,
they
had
a
crew.
Totally. And so they all revolutionized ocean sports. And, of course, my grandfather put the sail on a surfboard, and that was windsurfing. And, you know, not only that, my grandmother was also very influential in it. She started the first magazines, brought the sport to the Olympics, and they were sewing all the first sails. And so,
I've seen the boom in your guys' house. Every time I go, I stare just at it.
Teak wood,
yeah. And it's got the, I think the main piece that really got the windsurfing to where it is today, the
universal joint.
Yeah, the universal joint.
And that's actually the piece that my grandfather invented. My grandfather didn't necessarily invent the sport of windsurfing. You know, they created it and brought it about to the world. But the piece that really made the sport work as a sport and be able to pivot all around the sail in any direction was this universal joint. And so that was the piece that my grandfather invented and, you know, ended up causing all kind of chaos throughout, even still to this day, they're dealing with all kind of lawsuits and stuff. But, you know, there's no doubt that windsurfing was like their child. You know, they brought it to the world. And then, of course, their kids, my father, my auntie, and my uncle, when they were young teenagers, they were being sent to different corners of the world with a container of windsurf gear. And they would teach people in the community how to windsurf and just share the stoke about it. And it spread from wildfire from there. And now today, I look at all my best friends here on Maui, and they all ended up in Hawaii because of windsurfing. Most of them.
Yeah, you hear that story with generation families that came from the mainland. I think more than surfing coming to Maui, seems like more the long lineage of families that have come here. Windsurfing pulled them here.
Oh yeah.
You know, now I mean surfing obviously pulls, but yeah, windsurfing seemed to be the main reason why people were just transplanting their way over here.
Yeah, I mean, families like the Paynes and the Baxters, and the
Dailies,
the Lennys. You know, there's a number of families from Maui that ended up, you know, really being attracted to the islands for the wind and, of course, the waves as well. And I think it really is a big reason why a lot of the Maui athletes are more open-minded than some of the other islands. They're open to surf in the wind and be, you know, eager to get in any conditions, regardless of how junk it might be, because I think, you know, our parents might be looking at it like, oh, it's a great day out there, whereas a surfer would be looking at it like, oh, it's, we're
doing something else. But yeah, it also inspired the kiteboarding as well.
Totally.
Because that side, the wind just hits it a lot more. And I have heard from people that Maui, the way the wind works, it's not as like a consistent fluid wind compared to others. There's gusts, so I'm sure it's kind of a different expertise and skill to ride this type of conditions of wind.
Yeah, especially,
you're going to know that more than I would ever know. So
especially here on West Maui, the wind funnels through the Pailolo Channel and the island of Molokai and Maui. Wow. And so it really does increase, but it also could be very gusty. Whereas on the North Shore by Ho'okipa and Paia, it's the mecca of wind sports all over the world. I mean, you go to anywhere in Europe or all over where windsurf or kite surfing is popular, and Maui's at the top of the pinnacle for any little kid. They dream to end up windsurfing or kite surfing on Maui. And the North Shore, Ho'okipa side, you know, that's some of the most consistent, powerful wind throughout most of the year, more than a lot of places in the world. And I think what's so special about it is not only the wind and the waves, but I think it's also our environment and, of course, that aloha spirit that's really brought people back and made the people fall in love with it. And I think that's also a big reason why I'm not only a passionate surfer or windsurfer or kite surfer, but
You're all
it's
around,
part of the
across the
culture.
board,
It's all part of the ocean. It's our playground, and the more we learn how to utilize it, the more grateful we could be each day.
Yeah, and it makes you appreciate the ocean that much more from kind of the blessing of what it provides us. I'm a surfer. I definitely love when you drive by Hokipa, seeing the surf, but it's almost like a peaceful feeling watching the guys kiting and watching everyone windsurf. And at the level that they're doing it, you might be able to vouch, and I think your pops told me that windsurfing is pretty much the hardest sport to learn there is.
Yeah.
And I went out with you that one day. You said I did great. I got up, I rode, but I was laughing because, guys, he's sitting here on his board, and his board is on its side, and he's doing loops around me, talking and teaching while I'm hanging on for dear life, just trying to make something happen. And it's super classic that, just totally schooling me, and his skill level is just beyond. You and Connor, if I remember correctly, were just punting 40-foot mule kicks off the back at Jaws. Yeah, have you guys done that?
Oh yeah, totally.
I would love to pull that off just for the sake of just launching. I'm sure the feeling that you can't even express.
It's insane. I mean, if you could imagine, what it feels like to
Getting
be
barreled.
fourth gear pinned on a motorcycle, coming up to a big double, and then just launching off the ramp and flying through the air.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that feeling, but on the water. And so you, of course, have a little bit more forgiveness if you were to fall or not land perfect. And, you could be just going 30 miles an hour straight into a 10-foot wave and launch a 30-foot backflip easy. So it's so extreme. And for me, when it's on for windsurfing, it's one of my favorite things to do because there's like, you could just keep pushing yourself. I mean, there's no limit. Like, whereas, surfing, the waves could be a certain height, or the barrel can be a certain size, or the drop could be a certain amount of steepness. But if the wind's on and there's enough to ramp, you could always push yourself to that edge of uncomfort or out of control, or wow, this is new, this is innovative, this is really extreme. Whereas surfing, sometimes you need the conditions to allow for that. You need that bigger wave. Whereas windsurfing, if you have even a 2-foot wave with strong enough wind, yes, you could enjoy it and fly through the air and do some nice jumps, but you could also try and do double front flips and just throw yourself, 100 mile an hour plus rotation speeds, like really throwing a lot of G-force around.
What speed do you guys think, if you got winds mocking, how fast do you think you're going?
Oh, when it's windy and we're out in the waves, we could be going up to, 30 miles an hour, 30 knots. But on a slalom equipment with the right conditions, going for speed, guys are breaking 60 knots.
Wow.
And 60 knots, correct me if I'm wrong, that's over 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You fall, hit the water, skipping like concrete at that point.
Yeah. You're going to be like a stone getting skipped across the lake. Any time ever you go out where you actually have gone so far out you don't even see the islands?
Totally. I mean, there's been a few times competing at the Molokai to Oahu competition through the Ka'ivi Channel.
Wow.
It's a race that's 32 miles across, and it's not necessarily far enough to not have sight. But there has been a year where we were competing this event, and there was quite a bit of clouds, and it was on and off rain. And there was a point where you look behind and you don't see Molokai where you started, and you're looking ahead and you're just like, where do I finish? Like all I have as a reference is this wind direction. Wow. And the way the swells are moving. And so when it's like that, I mean, you really can feel helpless, or you could feel grateful for the hours and years of preparation you've put on the water to prepare yourself for reading each and every thing you can on the ocean surface or within the air, and I think that's something that's always amazed me about Hawaiian culture and cultural practice is wayfinding skills and abilities and the basic ocean knowledge.
You're learning to dance with the ocean and,
Totally.
and the elements as well.
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine. I've sailed. I've sailed the whole Caribbean. I've sailed boats all through the islands here, and surfed since I was young. So not claiming to be the best surfer, but I just thought I'd pick it up pretty easy, and it wasn't. During your out in the ocean time, the elements, like if you're on a sailboat, you've got waves coming in and you want them at your back. So that's why it's a lot easier transition. And if you've ever sailed a boat or been on a boat sailing, one of the most amazing feelings is when that sail fills and it's like, it almost feels like you're sitting still. It's the most peaceful feeling I've ever had.
Totally.
So I'm sure there's a pocket when it comes to windsurfing that gives you that comfort zone so that you can focus more on whatever you're wanting to go, where you're wanting to go, what you're wanting to do. Probably if you're heading, like if you're going to Oahu from Molokai, probably heading in the surf, that's probably pretty challenging where you're full buck and bronco on the ocean.
Totally.
Compared to having it at your back as well,
It could go one way or another, right? Whether you're going upwind or downwind, it could be polar opposites for sure, where it's smooth and you're just flowing in between the bumps, riding downwind with the wind, with the swells. Like you said, you almost get this moment of silence because you might be moving as fast as the wind or as fast as the waves. So you don't hear the wind and waves much. But other times, when you're going into the wind, into the swell, that sound of that 20-mile-an-hour wind magnifies when you're moving 20 miles an hour into it. And the bump hits your board that much quicker when you're moving into it. So then you're just, there's so many times where I'm windsurfing out in the water and I can't help myself but to just scream at the top of my lungs, yeah, woo! Because, it's wild and you're harnessing the power of nature moving along with nothing else but the wind.
And you've probably got to be in shape for what it does to your body. I'm sure, you're hanging on for dear life at certain points and getting bucked around, but still trying to stay fluid and in control. So I'm sure there's a lot behind that. Your pops, 18 world titles.
18 world titles.
18 world titles, guys. Mr. Slater, you got 11. I understand why he's going for 12. But I figure after 18 world titles, you're just kind of like, let's find something else to do.
He does all kind of stuff too.
His dad is amazing. Just zinging it on dirt bikes to just an all around rad guy. Diving.
Oh yeah.
Pulling up big fish out of the ocean.
He lives off the land.
I recently saw him just mocking it on a windboard, on a windsurf recently, and he just wakes up and lives. You know what I mean? He goes for it.
That's something he's taught. I was just his birthday yesterday, actually.
Happy birthday.
Uncle
Matty
Matt,
Senior,
my daddy-o, he's my number one hero. And in my card I wrote for him last night, I remember I put that I'm grateful for learning how to live life to the fullest every day, because that's a lesson he's taught me for sure.
He's I could see growing up with just where his mind frame's at, and that he's probably your biggest influence and inspiration
100%.
Across the board. Yeah,
100%.
Totally understandable.
And his energy level. I mean, I don't know many people that gets more done in a day than him.
Yeah,
and still
super humble,
still consistent. He's a family man and genuine and just totally athletic. But
works hard, plays hard.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, pretty amazing. Your mom got world titles as well?
My mom's actually a national champion.
Yeah.
And she has met my dad competing windsurfing, actually. And so they met, all in different competitions. And one day my dad asked her to marry him. And that was history, I guess.
Around the world.
Yeah, they ended up moving to Kahana. My dad won an event in Japan. It was like $100,000 cash prize. And he gave all the cash to his other Hawaiian friends because he wasn't allowed to bring all that in once. So they split it up in their socks. And when they flew back to Hawaii, my dad settled down. He was like 16, 17 years old, bought a place in Kahana. And that's where I grew up, right there.
Wow.
Yeah, and right next to my grandparents' house.
Wow, what a blessing.
Yeah.
When was that? I mean, $100,000 purse is
a lot. It was over 35 years ago.
Because you listen to the stories of surf competitions on the North Shore, like winning a 6-pack of beer,
Yeah.
being a pro, like they were stoked, and it was just all about
windsurfing at times was one of the more high-paid ocean sports. And
oh, I didn't know that.
It went to huge rock star status for sure, especially during just before the tipping point and transition of it becoming an Olympic sport. That was kind of the right round where it started the pinnacle. And before the Olympics, it was rock star status. It was just like Robbie Nash, my dad, Bjorn Dunkerbeck. Those guys were definitely comfortably making a living off of doing what they love. And I think that also goes to show for a lot of the guys in the sports. You look at a lot of the old school windsurfers that created their profession and their life around the ocean, and it may have started with windsurfing with guys like Laird Hamilton and Dave Kalama.
That's right.
And
that's right.
Rush Randall. And
I met Rush. He lives right by the Rawsons on Oahu. And he's super nice,
awesome
cruise guy. Yeah, actually, I think we brought you up in conversation, or your family, or something.
Yeah,
like
Uncle
that.
Rush is the man. His son River is my good buddy too.
Yeah, right on.
Hope they're watching.
yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, he was a really nice guy. We talked story for a little bit. I think we were both checking surf over there or something like that, and bumped into each other.
Yeah, Uncle Rush was, I think, always someone that I've looked up to more than a lot of my dad's friends. Of course, all my dad's friends I looked up to, but Rush seemed to be the guy that was doing everything that the other guys were doing with a twist. And so that was pretty cool, seeing. I'd love a drink. Yeah, thanks, guys.
We've got for my sponsor, Aribe Teas, made, brewed on the Big Island in Hilo Town.
Oh, unreal.
So I got Mamaki mint and hibiscus, super epic, and then there's an acai super berry.
Unreal.
What's yours? What you want?
I'll go for the Mamaki mint.
All right,
sounds good. I've never.
Yeah, you'll be.
We were talking about
really
the Mamaki earlier. So
yeah, we're gonna do a show. I'm gonna do a show. Obviously on medicinal plants. But I'm gonna definitely dedicate Mamaki in one of the shows because it is. It's phenomenal what it does.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah. Thanks for being on the show. It's so good to have you.
All the spice.
Yeah, this is epic.
Oh yeah, that's delicious.
It's almost like filling.
That.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I love tea. I'm definitely more of a tea drinker than coffee.
Yeah, and God, I always reflect when I was at the shack. You came up, and guys, I've worked on Zane. I don't even know how long. How many years?
I think over 5 years maybe now.
Yeah,
coming close to 5 years at least.
And there was this one time it was kind of baffling to me. I've had the honor of working on some magical people, including you.
Shane Doring, Kelly Slater.
Well, I haven't had to work on Shane, work on Kelly. So, I've gotten when I reflect on it, I've got 4 world title people under my belt. Kelly, and then you, Connor Baxter. Connor's got world titles.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Across the board.
Oh,
Connor's another professional stand-up paddle racer. He's like the fastest guy in the business. And then we're going to get into someone super special, which is your influence, as well as mine kind of pointing in your direction. It's a really cool story. Mrs. Ava Rose Heller.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
With Access Surf. So we'll get into her. So she's a great one.
I got chicken skin every time we talk about her.
She just, there's no other person on the planet that just lights you up. Just with how she is. So
some people you feel really proud for, and you feel like maybe, I don't know, she's one of those people where it's rewarding to be a part of her life.
Yeah.
Like, even if it was a small piece, I see her and her success and her smile, and it just makes me feel so happy to just see her chasing after her dreams and just being a positive example for other kids her age too.
And you're definitely 100% across the board why she is where she's at with that passion of surfing. Pretty rad. We'll get into that in a second. Kind of want to educate more on what you do with the stand-up paddle. What I was getting across with the world title is I still trip out. You come up, I'm doing body work on you or whatever I'm doing with things, and you basically left my shack, got on a plane, went and won a world title, and I'm sitting here going, whoa, dude, he was just here, and now he's in this magical zone on this super nuts, incredible wave that we all dream about, and wins the world title. So, super cool. Run us that story.
Thank you, Spice.
Yeah, thank you, man. It's an honor to just have you as a friend, a client, work on you, know your family. Super, super rad experience for me. And yeah, so before we should go into that story, but what are our viewers and listeners? You've got 3 titles as Ultimate Waterman.
2 Ultimate Waterman titles and
okay.
3 Master of the Ocean. Those are both like multi-sport competitions for ocean sports.
Wow. And then in the stand-up paddle arena, you've got...
I have 15 individual world tour wins, not overall world titles, but
it's still huge.
But yeah, I'm super proud to be able to represent my family in Hawaii and be able to travel around the world. And when you get to bring home that gold from a world championship event, I mean, there's nothing better than feeling the love and support from family and friends when you get to bring it home. And it's really rewarding to know that the people around you and the people around me, feel like we could all uplift each other a bit. So it's motivating for me, feeling support from friends like you and everyone in our community. So
the stand-up paddle, if I'm correct, it's kind of divided into 2. You've got the racing, and then you've got basically the surfing.
Yeah.
Have you won any of the racing events?
So most of my wins are actually in racing.
Wow, I didn't know that. I was thinking more of the free surf or the surfing events.
Yeah, and I've been doing the stand-up paddle world tour for both racing and surfing for coming up on, I think I was at the first ever event for the first official world tour at Sunset Beach, and I actually won the junior division.
Wow.
The Nakamakai event. And after that, I was just totally like, wow, I've always been a surfer and a windsurfer, but then after this, I was like, I could do this. This is fun. I got to compete at Sunset Beach with the big boys and the other kids, and so I was really excited after that. I think I was 15 years old, and ever since then I followed the whole tour after that and jumped on the adult tour straight after that youth win. And there's more races than there are surf events.
Yeah,
and so that's why I ended up training quite a bit for racing, because there was more events. And there's more chances for me to experience the world and its people with these events. And so, most of my wins for racing were actually surf races. And what that's defined as, racing, there's many different disciplines of the sport of stand-up paddling, but there's also many different disciplines in the sport of racing, stand-up paddle racing. So a few being endurance racing, sprint racing, course racing, or surf racing. And a sprint race might be in a straight line, 100 to 200 meters. A course race will be around a course. Endurance would be, something like the Kaiwi Molokai to Oahu paddle challenge, 32 miles.
Which is 32 miles?
Yeah, or I mean, that's not the longest race.
Still like...
The longest race I've done was 150 in Holland. During the 11th City Tour, we paddled about 30 miles a day for 5 days. And that's the biggest, most endurance in a physically demanding endurance race I've ever done. But it was also mentally demanding for sure. But out of all those divisions, my favorite is the surf race. And the surf race is like, I guess, the equivalent of motocross for stand-up paddle racing, because you're dropping in on these race boards, which are 12 foot to 14 foot long, and you have to navigate down the face of a wave, through the sections, follow the course around buoys, turn, kicking out over the wave around the buoy, and then punch through these waves. And I'm not talking little waves.
I've seen some
the Red
footage.
Bull Heavy Water, our most recent surf race event, was at Ocean Beach, and
that was in San
Francisco.
Yeah, I heard that. Just the
insane.
Nuts.
It was ridiculous. I mean, it was a minimum 10-foot face wave height. That was the minimum. It was
torquing
it was
rip.
15-foot Hawaiian.
Wow.
I'm not even kidding. It was solid surf. Like, even paddling out on a gun in conditions like that would have been scary.
Yeah.
Let alone, I mean, we're sitting out there looking at each other on the start line like, are you kidding me? And I'm talking one side Kai Lenny, the other side Connor Baxter, and Mo Freitas, top waterman. And it was scary, man.
Yeah.
That was heavy.
Throwing the iffy card out there.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy when paddleboarding first started, and it's like it just went boom, like a bomb went off. And, I'm guilty. You get surfers, and they had kind of the diehard kind of keep the paddleboards out of the lineup and walk, pretty anti about it. And this one day, I saw you. I walk up on this one of our local breaks, and my jaw hit the sand. I was like, "Whoa, dude! Like, not only can I not do what he's doing on board, pretty much 90% of guys aren't doing that on board." And I was just like, "All right, my mouth's shut. Props." The maneuvers that you're pulling on a board that's a lot bigger and thicker, and you got to paddle, and there's so much more. It's just got to take time and skill. At what point did you get inspired to get on a stand-up and start going, basically, excuse my German, ape shit on a stand-up board?
It was
because obviously the surfing, the windsurfing, and just being from a waterwoman family across the board. Maybe it's just grabbing something new and trying to master it.
I think that really that was the beginning of it. Was the excitement of something new. And when I first got my first stand-up paddleboard, I think I was 13, 14. And it was right when I was starting to, become a professional windsurfer. When I was just starting to travel the world on the Junior World Tour for windsurf. And I remember I got my first Starboard stand-up paddleboard. And it was an 8.0 by 26, and I remember riding it thinking, oh, yeah, let's go. We were in a trip in Japan, and we got these new boards, and it was the only surfboards we had. And of course, we're going to be out there every day, when the wind isn't up yet. And Connor Baxter and I, we had so much fun on these boards, in the morning before the wind picked up. Because we started bringing our sponsor, Starboard. They know that the wind usually picks up around a certain time. And we're at these events waiting for the wind pickup very often. So Sven, the owner of Starboard, sent us with these new stand-up paddle boards. And said, have fun with these, before the contest and bring them to all the events. So Connor and I were going to all these windsurf events, stand-up paddling in the waves before the wind picked up.
So they just kind of rolled the dice, putting faith that two young watermen were going to basically, sound like, kind of promote it.
Totally. Oh, 100%.
Other tools to play in the ocean with, basically.
Yeah.
And you guys ran with it and kind of became a lifestyle and career.
I think the first cool thing was we got a new board. Someone just gave us a new surfboard,
Yeah.
We were like stoked to go ride it.
No one's going to argue or complain about that.
But the other thing was like, Connor and I are looking at each other like, wow, we could walk the nose like on a longboard, but we could also put the paddle down and turn, do a sharp, bottom turn like a mini tanker or a big shortboard and be able to, still do more high performance turns than we can on a longboard, but yet still be able to jump on the nose. Like one of the more exciting things for me that really drawed me towards the sport was combining longboard surfing with shortboard surfing. Being able to turn any wave into a fun wave. It doesn't matter if it was a little mushy, soft, not great quality. We were traveling a lot at that time, so we weren't getting waves like we have here in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So jumping out, going for a longboard on the stand-up, and still being able to mix in my shortboarding, that was awesome. That's what I first fell in love with. And then I started to realize, wow, I have a chance to do something my dad and mom did. I have a chance to pioneer something new and to be a part of something that's developing and evolving in every single session, and every session we'd go out there together, my training partners like Connor or Kai, and and we'd be doing something new every
And
day,
pushing
or our
each
friends
other.
would be doing something new
Yeah.
every day, and we'd see that. We'd see I'd see Connor do something crazy, and I'd want to go do it, and then I'd push it to the next level as something even more wild, or even inspiration from surf or skateboard. And then Kai will see it, and he's like, then he's doing it, and then he's doing the next thing, and we're all growing and feeding off each other. And
wow, I love it.
that was the coolest thing, was being able to feel like, we're part of a very select few that's testing, what's possible with this sport. And for me, I've always been a fan of taking the less beaten path, and I'm not necessarily a troublemaker, but I've always been, kind of someone to challenge when they say you can't do this, you can't do that.
I'll agree with you
And
there.
and I
But
think
it's a
the whole
mindset that makes you push yourself.
totally
And inspiring people. I think that's where it comes from, is them pushing themselves.
100%.
Yeah, which makes you inspire others. So in order to inspire others, you kind of got to inspire yourself, and light your own brain up, and your own objectives and goals, and do them and prove yourself, so that you got more in front of you. So
that's a great point. I mean, like, I think it's important for everyone out there watching to know that, each and every one of you guys are an expert at something.
Yeah.
Whether you know it or not, like, there's a perfect puzzle piece that fits right into your life, where you are the very best at that thing. And just keep being positive in what you're passionate about. Take a step towards it every day. Keep those dreams and goals locked in your heart and in your mind. And sure enough, you'll have the chance to, find that opportunity, because success is when preparation meets opportunity. And,
yeah,
at any point during my career, I could definitely say that yes, I've found so much inspiration from not only my training partners and my family and my brother and his friends that were surrounded by me. My brother's 5 years older than me, and all of his best friends growing up were Granger Larson, Clay Marzo, Dusty Payne, Ian Walsh, Kevin Sullivan. All these guys were. I'm chasing them around every day. I'm like trying to sneak into their car and go surf with them, and they're always just torturing me as a young kid. And
then keep up with their abilities in the water. And I mean, they're all heavy names in the water. They're amazing surfers across the board.
Totally, 100%.
And just epic guys. Gotta love them all.
Yeah, so I'm so fortunate to just be surrounded by all those people. Thank you guys all for giving me a hard time, or for giving me tips, or for whatever it was, because it's made me the person I am today.
Yeah, amen.
And it's also inspired me to be there for the younger kids. Like Ava. I look back in my younger life, and I kind of could start to think like, wow, how am I so lucky to be in this position? Why is God giving me this opportunity? And I know the reason. I've had a few close encounters to death, and I've had time to think deeply about why I'm here on this earth, and why I've had the second chance to be brought back. I fell off a cliff 30 feet in Peru, and I was dead for over 5 minutes, no breath, no pulse.
Whoa, what's that story? I don't know if I got that one. Peru. Yeah. What the hell happened?
Yeah, I was I think I was getting carried away with being a punk, being
at least you can
rock
look back
star.
and admit that.
No, totally.
And you grow from that.
Totally, yeah. I think there was a time in my life where I may have been taking advantage of the opportunities I had, and I might have been celebrating a little too much. I won.
Go to your head a little bit.
I won my first junior world title, and it was in Peru, and we were all celebrating on the beach, doing crazy stuff. Under 18-year-old kids driving Jeeps on the beach, and I'm surfing the roof and slamming on the brakes, being flying. Let's do it again, and we were having a crazy old time, and we were going on this, found this little mountain on the beach to climb up and check out the stars, and I ended up just roughhousing a little bit too much and slipped off the cliff, and I fell 30 feet down. My brother and the whole crew, looked down at where I was, and they saw me laying flat motionless, and they couldn't get down to me. They had to walk down and around. They couldn't go straight down. And by the time they got to me a few minutes later, I was still out, no breath, no pulse. We had a lifeguard from the beach that was there partying with us because it was a pretty small town, and we had a big crew of people, the whole Journey team. And I remember waking up to just like almost feeling like my body was off the ground. Like I remember waking up in the
Wow.
air, like, and then hitting the ground, and my brother just crying over me, screaming to God, and everyone all just huddled over me, looking down at me, crying. And I remember I was seeing all these people that valued my life, and it really just made me, I guess, I feel like I was away for a little bit, and I was brought back, and I definitely believe in my guardian angel, my twin brother.
Yeah.
I had my twin brother was passed away at birth, and ever since a young kid, I felt a spiritual connection
He's still there.
with with my brother, and then especially I felt like I had, whether it was a connection with God, a connection with my brother, I don't know, but I came back with a clear message that I can't just be doing things for the benefit of myself. I have to be doing things for the benefit of my loved ones and my environment around me, and I need to be able to understand that my life is a very small piece of this world, and I got to do my best to just uplift all the life around me.
Amen.
And so that, ever since then, that's been a huge motivation for me to, be a little bit more disciplined with, what's right and what's wrong, and also find motivation for what's pono. I find so much motivation within my community, within the next generation, within my family, and within, most importantly, our dying oceans.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, definitely been a positive influence on that.
yeah,
And we can go into that at some point.
our voiceless friend, he's in a lot of trouble right now, and definitely believe that people like myself and Kai Lenny and Kelly Slater, who have a position and a voice to share with the network and a demographic, we have the power to inspire people for the right or the wrong, and at least share with them that what has brought so much opportunity and joy into our life, and that's nature, that's the ocean, and that's
that is our wealth. Whether we have 50 million in the bank or 50 cents in our pocket, that ocean is our wealth.
Oh yeah,
our richness, and it's something that we've got to take care of by consciously kind of knowing what we're doing and what we're putting into it, and
oh yeah,
whether it's runoff,
sunscreen.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much we've both done. We both free dive, we spearfish and stuff like that, and so the things that you see is incredible. I think was I with you? We did that one cove, and I remember you shot a Nabeta, and I was really jealous. You might have been with me. There was a big fishing net on the bottom, and there was fish, and guys, man, literally the net grew into this fish's body, right? And the fish could like move around just
enough to eat, the reef around.
But he was stuck in that net, and I went in and I cut him free, and I was like, wow, man, the things that we do, consciously, unconsciously, don't need to happen. You just watch so much stuff just going overboard on boats.
Yeah. Oh.
And and then there's other stuff that you've got something sitting out, whether it's a paper cup or plastic drink thing or potato chip bag, and the wind just comes out of nowhere and whips it, and it's next thing you know, it's in the ocean. I mean, there's a lot of things where people aren't trying, that I feel we can work towards. If that did happen, it didn't matter. Why? Because that material will break down, because we're consciously creating materials that aren't going to negatively affect our environment.
That's what needs to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to have a little bit more eco innovation with our process of building materials, and really, I mean, plastic in itself, the way it's used is a is a design flaw. Really, you know, there's great uses for it in some cases, but in others it's pointless. And I think for us to be aware of that is the first step, right?
Because
I
there's
mean, just
obviously
it's our
substitutes.
choice. We have the power of
Yeah.
choice. That's
Yeah.
the only thing we have in our life, right? We have a choice whether to not to choose. It doesn't matter which or what way it goes, but I think for me, I always feel better when I choose the Pono decision.
Yeah.
And when I'm laying down in bed at the end of the night, so lately I think about those little things like, oh man, I wish that lady didn't give me a plastic fork with my plate lunch today, or man, I should have, you know, maybe thought about turning off the hose before I left the house, you know, for my garden, or you know, little things like that. Some people might think it's small, but hey, these little choices, they add
Things
up.
matter. I watch
Yeah.
you on social media. I've seen Connor and your epic, wonderful girlfriend. You guys have the little what is your little is it plastic challenge?
The pocket of plastic challenge.
Okay, yeah. And I see you guys always scooping. And,
Oh yeah.
And I've done that myself, and there's a lot of others. And in Hawaii, we've had some very inspirational people to come about and create big cleanups,
Mhm.
you know, for the beaches and the ocean, even doing dives and cleaning up certain
Totally.
reefs and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, it's something that needs to happen globally. I mean, we've been all over the world, and there's areas where you're just like, what? And I don't, you know, want to badmouth certain areas because I still love those places, but
Oh,
the
yeah.
pollution that is there is
Sad.
is
Yeah.
sad. It's jaw dropping, but they don't know. And I kind of put two and two together. On a cultural basis, you got to look at, like, all right, let's take Philippines, let's take Indonesia, let's even take areas of Polynesia. You've got these places that was all natural across the board.
Yep.
So they had a coconut. What do? They just wing it.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Everything they
But
had
then-
came from the ground and went back to
Yeah,
it.
went back
in
to
return.
it, and then they start getting plastic bags and all that. They're
Oh,
not
yeah.
intention to litter. It's just
It's what they know.
hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of years,
Just bury it and burn it.
Yeah,
That's what we've
just
always done.
take it
Yeah.
and let it go back to nature. But now we've created materials that don't go back
Yeah.
to nature.
And I think because of those materials, not only is it like a visually polluting, but it's also terrible for everything living around it. But even more so, the side that we don't see is you know, the emissions that are being fumed out. The process of putting these plastics together. I mean, our CO2 emissions in our atmosphere are at all-time high, and what soaks that up? The ocean soaks that up, and it soaks it up in the form of heat.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, a 2-degree temperature change in our ocean could mean the continuing of a whole entire species, or the death and extinction of it.
Yeah.
2-degree change.
Reefs and all that are very volatile. I mean, you know, being a medicine man, a lot of people pick mushrooms. I have things. I'm not as big on mushrooms. I mean, they're great. They've got a lot of medicinal properties. I kind of leave those alone for the most part because I look at mushrooms in an ecosystem. I look at lichens and mosses. They're so delicate that just leave them. Why? Because seeing those out in the wild represent a healthy ecosystem.
Really?
And when they start dropping, it's not a good sign. As a spearfisher, as living in Hawaii, I think we used to have about 113, 115, 120 types of limu. And those of you who are listening and watching, limu in Hawaiian is the word for seaweed. And there's tons of seaweed that we use as a staple in our foods.
Yeah.
You know, Japanese are huge for seaweeds. There's a lot of culture that rely on seaweeds, and the seaweeds are all, to me, medicinal. Some are so many different, but a lot of them, the nutritional value that you can get out of seaweed. And so to have like around 100 and something types of limu and seaweed. Now we've only got like 10, 12, 13, 14 types of species. And that is because introducing boats and gasoline and oil getting in the water and everything that we've been doing.
From the fertilizers,
oh my God,
courses.
from fertilizer, from agriculture, it just went. And yeah.
Before I even connected limu with food, I mean, I remember being a young kid playing in all the seaweed in Kahana in front of my house. I mean, it was bay was filled. Do you remember Kahana Bay?
Like sweet buckets full,
just filled with limu. We'd go play and become seaweed monsters. And I mean, nowadays you can't even find a piece of seaweed.
Yeah,
on the
you gotta know where to go to find just a little bit to throw on your sushi or whatever.
Yeah,
a couple sprigs for whatever your dinner is. Because I like certain seaweeds to eat.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So back to stand up. You got your inspiration. When you're on tour and you've got a big contest coming up, and let's say you're kind of at the top of the totem as far as placement goes. First, say you've got a chance to win a world title, something like that, or just winning the contest is huge. Where are you at in your head? Where are you at in your mind? Are you jittered out? Are you basically kind of with horse blinds on, nothing matters except like the goal at hand? Where are you at? And are you just ready to stomp guys? Or you get kind of intimidated by guys? Like, obviously when you're at that level, you got guys that are there for a reason because they're damn good at what they do.
It's different with the different sports. Sometimes if I'm going to be doing a big race that's going to be in a more interval setup, say sprinting on and off in a course race with heats, with a qualifier format where you advance on through, you might be going all out 100% for 20 minutes and then you're cruising. In that kind of situation, sometimes I just try and really mellow out every sense I can, go in the shade, wrap a towel around my head, and just sometimes sleep, meditate, clear my head, and really just lower my heart rate, lower my energy, lower my thoughts.
Get grounded,
just
basically, it sounds like.
Lay on the ground, totally. I love to lay on the sand, lay on the ground, and just mellow out, and literally I'll have my brother, my coach, my teammate wake me up sometimes only like 15 minutes before the race, just so I don't get too crazy, because the more you wake up, I want to be able to be really calm
just
and
quiet time. It sounds like you're kind of you're not even getting focused. It's almost like you're just escaping,
zoning out,
just escaping all of the pressure and all the
whereas with surf competition, it's almost the opposite.
You get fired up.
I have to get present. And I try to become as present not only with my environment as I can be, but with myself. And usually it starts with myself. It's not just like roll up to the beach, figure out where the wind's coming from, how high the tide is, where the current is drifting, where the sets are breaking most consistently, the interval between the frequency of waves.
Yeah.
All these things are so important.
Direction, everything. I mean, sure, there's so many variables.
So many.
Lining up.
And it's like the first thing that starts though is me. I need to make sure I'm ready. I need to assess myself.
Yeah.
And so that's actually a huge part of why you helped me big time. When I was preparing to go out and do the Sopinis Pro in Tahiti, or excuse me, the ISA World Championships in Cloudbreak, Fiji. Because I met with you the day before leaving, and I remember feeling a little burnt out. It was like the end of the year. It was a lot of traveling, a lot of competing for race, surf, and windsurf, and I was feeling burnt out.
Yeah, I can remember talking with you and Connor, and I'm always like, guys, because during that time I had to stay because I love traveling, and I can remember going like, guys, live it, push yourself, like go see the world, do your magic, do what you love doing, obviously the paddleboarding, and just embrace every moment that you're blessed with, because home is here,
totally,
home's staying, ain't going nowhere.
Oh yeah.
And I would always hear like, yeah man, just just done traveling, because I'm sure it takes a toll. Because
Totally.
to take that many boards and luggage and then traveling, it's a lot more to do than just a backpack and a board, a surfboard. But when you take these paddle boards, how many paddle boards do you usually take on a trip?
It depends. If I'm going on a surf event, it'll be a coffin bag that's 8 feet long and almost 3 feet thick, and it's just filled with 4 to 5 of my sup surfboards. And if it's a race,
4 to 5.
yeah, and if it's a race, sometimes I'll have a 14
Even
foot board.
one isn't light. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's they're lighter than they probably were back in the day.
Traveling's a hassle. It takes a toll on you for sure.
When you got to lug around,
yeah,
4 boards, 5 boards, that's nuts, man. I can't even imagine.
So when I met with you, you kind of did some body work on me. You talked, you got into my psyche a little bit and kind of got me fired up again. And
probably an herbal program of some sort.
You gave me an herbal remedy to drink leading up to the event, and that was just one more step for me to feel prepared in order to meet that opportunity. And every little step that you could feel that much more prepared before that opportunity meets, the more confident you're going to be when that opportunity comes. And so I did everything I could leading up to that. Even though I felt burnt out, I met up with you. I was drinking that formula 3 times a day. And I was putting it in my head that I am fired up. I am stoked. This is what I live for. This is what my family and friends and Spice wants me to be here doing.
Push you and go, man. Go.
And so before that event, I remember, and I do this quite a bit. I do an assessment, and my way of assessing myself is doing something called mindful tapping. And I learned it from a practitioner in Dominican Republic. And it's a way to tap into different pressure points in your body and just affirm to yourself how you feel presently and how you'd like to feel when you're done with this practice.
I like it.
And so it's almost like sometimes this first step of taking initiation in something is the hardest step to take. And when I go through this thought process, this practice, this meditation of mindful tapping, where I go through a series of different pressure points and assess how I feel currently and how I'd like to feel and how I'm going to get to that feeling and break down every little step of what I could do to meet that feeling. When I'm done with this 10-minute practice, I feel I've already gotten that first step out of the way. That first step.
So you're just basically just crawling into your body.
Oh yeah.
And being present with yourself, so that, you got to hit that button, that game on button.
Yep.
And sometimes you almost want to say that game on button for that all the way up to that last second.
Totally.
To where you're just getting centered, getting grounded, being present, being right there with it, so that there's no emotion surrounding you other than just being there. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you push that button.
You don't want anything else floating around.
Yeah, you need nothing lingering that can actually, people don't realize, like, a lot of the mind can subtract from you. And in the sense of, like, taking energy from you that you need.
Totally.
That you're going to need for that paddle race, that surf contest, like, that football game, whatever athlete.
It's like a magnet, right? You got to flip it around so it pulls it in.
Yeah. You've got to, like, really inhale and pull in that mana that we call it in Hawaii, that energy that's giving you that driving force to just push forward and push the button and launch that rocket and go,
Oh yeah.
So I like it. I like your game plan.
Yeah.
I remember so we've picked up on the what was it? The mana, and then let's see. What would you contribute surfing, kiting, windsurfing, obviously paddleboarding? Where would you kind of say it's done for you as a person, as a whole, giving you a deeper connection with things, just more connected with nature, I guess?
I guess you're asking as an end goal, or
just in general. Do you? Obviously, being out in the elements like that, it's sometimes. The difference I think between surfing and all these other things you do is surfing. This day and age, a lot of times we're elbow to elbow out in the lineup. And these others allow you can be out on your own and get kind of a deeper connection spiritually, I would say.
Totally. Oh yeah.
And have some time to yourself.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, because like you said, I mean, a lot of surf spots are pretty. They could be pretty crowded nowadays, and it's a limited resource that we all want. And so being able to get out of that rat race every once in a while, and of course you could try and do your best to find waves with no one out, and it's getting harder and harder to do, and even here on Maui, but I could always find a place for just me in the ocean with windsurfing or with hydrofoiling or diving. And there's so many ways to be able to isolate yourself from other people. And I think the aloha spirit has been lost in a way throughout the surfing culture. And when you think about the roots of surfing, I mean, I think of Duke Kahanamoku.
Yeah, I do as well.
The legendary Hawaiian waterman himself, who traveled the world as an Olympian swimmer and brought his surfboard with him everywhere he went, and taught every person he came across what the aloha spirit, Hawaiian culture, and surfing was all about. And I think most people, their first experience with surfing was from that Hawaiian. And Duke brought surfing all over the world, places like Australia, California, all over the States and East Coast, South America, Europe. And I'm really, really proud to be able to, I guess, also be from Hawaii and in a way have him as my person to look up to. If there's any person that's not here with us today that I could aspire to be like, it's Duke Kahanamoku. Not just for his amazing talent and diversity in so many different sports, but for his aloha spirit more than anything. He always made sure to leave a positive footprint everywhere he went, and
that he did. And I would definitely consider you an ambassador of aloha. You know, a lot of people in the island, pretty much everyone, would agree with that. And what's cool is, bringing up Duke Kahanamoku, you kind of carry the torch in the sense that you have ridden, and not only ridden, but have gone through the act of cutting a tree and turning it into an alaya board.
Yeah,
correct. Which, if those of you who don't know, who are watching and listening, that is traditional surfboard that was the sport of kings, surfing wise, and you're riding one that you made yourself. My old stomping days on the Big Island, right off this one amazing place to surf. I don't really like to give away spots, but right on the point of that wave where it breaks, there's actually, I guess you'd call it like, in comparison to this day and age, it's an old shaping shack.
Wow.
Hawaiian, yeah. So there is
so cool.
A rock wall that somebody was shaping boards for probably the kings back then in this zone. So I felt pretty honored that I was able to just be there, see it, experience it, and envision what they were doing. Because this wave, I could definitely see aloud. I think it was Queen that surfed this one day where it was.
Wow.
And
that's so
I
cool.
know that, you've seen the boards. A lot of them were 13, 14 feet bigger.
Yeah, they had a variety of different sizes.
But then, as I read, and then there was somebody I know found an old alaya board, and I guess every family had one that was about 6 foot. So everyone was surfers probably back in the day.
Yeah.
And there was also the Pipo board, was kind of like the wooden boogie board.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and no fins, they would use the toes to steer. And you watch guys today what they're doing, and Hawaiians were killing it back in the day.
Oh,
they knew what was up.
I always like to imagine just what it was like to be put way back in those days where Hawaiians were doing their thing, having their responsibilities throughout their ahupua'a and being able to have that time to go surf. And
yeah, they took time, cover their grounds on sustainability for them and the village and the people of that valley from Malcolm to Makai, Mountain to Ocean. and I think they went and just made sure they got some playtime in, and I'm sure
Yeah.
surfing was part of that.
That's something that's
Occasion.
kind of interesting too, because just as the aloha spirit could be known as a Hawaiian value, but also le'a could also be a Hawaiian value, and that's to always have a good time and to go about your work with a positive attitude. And I think there's not many societies out there, when I think of ancient tribes or villages or cultures, that had enough, I guess, they weren't just surviving, they were thriving.
They were thriving.
And they were one of very few cultures, the Hawaiians, that I have ever heard of, where they had enough excess time after getting their work done to do things like creating a further connection with nature through an activity like surfing. And it wasn't just an activity or a sport, it was a connection with nature. It was riding God's gifts, these waves that would roll in.
Totally. And then, as you said, I mean, they sustained themselves in a way that they worked hard enough to get it all going. If I'm correct, hopefully I am, Makahiki, which was a 4-month kind of play period of games, surfing. I think they went to Kaho'olawe.
Yeah, well, it was a
lot.
The Lono Ika Makahiki is the time where the Makahiki games were held, and the time of when it started and when it lasted varies. But I mean, the most amazing thing about the Makahiki games was, even if Hawaiians were in the middle of a war, if the Lono Ika Makahiki time has begun,
wow,
there's no choice. It's kapu. You can't be fighting. You got to come together and you got to play these games and challenge the different chiefs and mingle together with different tribes. It's one of the only opportunities where these different ahupua'as and these different islands and different peoples would come together and mix.
Put war on pause and just kind of playfully challenge each other.
Yeah,
and that's pretty amazing to go and power out 8 months or so of growing foods for everybody, sustaining each other, and then having it flourish to the degree that, hey man, we got some playtime, let's go, let's do it. We're taken care of, and then we'll get back in rhythm with it, whether it's war or farming, and surfing, I'm sure, was a huge part of it. And I appreciate and love the culture for that reason. Obviously, there's a lot more reasons to love the Hawaiian culture. It's such a powerful, beautiful culture. And
I as well. I feel so honored just to be born here in Hawaii, and I might not have Hawaiian blood, but I know you do too. We have Hawaiian hearts, and it's all about just being able to keep those practices alive and share,
help give. Because a lot of people, I feel, this day and age are coming to Hawaii and just take. So on the subject of giving, I've got to, and many others want to thank you for being a huge asset to the community, better than being a big ass. Zane's gone out of his way so much with his busy schedule to basically love the community, the children. You've set time and time again on many weekends of your time that you could be with your family, but you've brought together children in the entire community and got them surfing, and just got them active in the water, and thank you for that.
All spice and no ukahaole. It's my pleasure and it's my responsibility too. I want to be able to give the kids of Maui and the future generation the same chance I had, to be able to have the tools and the resources and the positive mentors to be able to make their dreams come true, right? And so anytime I'm home, I look forward to getting together with my super drums.
You actually just did one, today or yesterday?
Yesterday we had a big event in Launi Upoko, where we normally hold our Maui events, and we got over 35 kids, and we did junior waterman races.
Wow.
And we always start off with a nice pule, Hawaiian style pule, and then we do a beach cleanup and start off the day always with the beach cleanup. Talk about marine plastics that we find on the beach, and how these accumulations of floating debris, I guess, accumulate and where they could be found on beaches
and
against
what they
the dry.
do, and like that's amazing that you're instilling in their minds what plastics do, and they don't break down in the environment, and so on and so on,
and connecting it with something they love.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
in the end of the day, I want kids to be able to look out at the ocean and just think of, wow, what a beautiful playground. That's my church. That's a place I could go
Amen.
any time of the day and find refuge of whatever's going on.
Just wash it all away from some of
Yeah.
those days that you just kind of want it gone.
And I think everyone needs to have something, and I hate to say it, something selfish about humans, but I feel like humans need to feel that they benefit from something before feeling the need to take care of it. And so I like to share, hey, here, look at all this stuff that we could benefit from the ocean, and from our sport that comes from the ocean, and look at all this joy it brings into our life.
And food.
Yeah, and food.
We're
of course.
spearfishers. We've got so many of our friends that spearfish and fish and
yeah.
harvest different things and feed themselves, their families, community. And it's important that we keep that ecosystem strong and flourishing and clean and thriving, and honor it and love it and count our blessings that we have that.
So we got to make sure it starts with the keiki, right?
Yeah,
because they're the future of tomorrow. And these, at our Super Grom events, we always want to share, number one, a safe intro to ocean sport for them to create that connection, and then seal that bond with a challenge for them to, take on the responsibility to be ocean stewards of the ocean. Every time you finish a session and have fun, bring up a piece of plastic off the beach, and
right on.
It might not mean that we're saving the world, but it sure does make an imprint on these kids' minds.
Every little bit counts, and it all adds up. You can definitely say. We mentioned someone special earlier, and you've got how many titles again?
About 15 in the sport of stand-up
15, and all these other prestigious awards. And I think personally, there's probably an inner reward with this, and even more meaningful than having any type of trophy to yourself, title, is that inspiration to this special person that we were mentioning earlier. Her name's Ava Rose Heller, and Ava is aloha, Ava. We love you so much. Ava is the daughter of a very good friend of mine, Jerry, and she was born with spinal bifida, meaning she's got really heavy curvature of the spine. Her lower half, she doesn't really have mobility of her legs. And there was a point in time, I was talking story with her dad, and I was like, dude, Zane's putting on this clinic. Let's get her down there. And she went, lit up like a firecracker, like she always does. I mean, this girl, she comes in, she lights up the room, and anyone that knows her, she's probably one of the most explosive personalities you're ever going to meet.
Definitely.
So she came and got her surfing.
Yeah.
I think you're putting on the front of your paddleboard, catching her waves, and she started catching on her own. And I'm guessing definitely a year, maybe a year and a half later, she they moved to Oahu, and they were doing a program which is awesome called Access Surf.
Oh yeah.
And Access Surf, guys, is, God, man, I've done 3 of them, and when you watch these people that are, I guess, challenged, I don't see them as handicapped. They just
alternatively able.
Yeah, and when you help them get into waves, or you're part of that program of getting them into waves, and you watch them light up, you almost just like burst into one giant tear out of absolute joy, because you're feeling this stoke that they have, that they're experiencing. And our little Miss Ava, I think she's 14 now. She, in, I want to say, a year and a half, got a world title. She won enough contests in Hawaii to go to San Diego and compete. And not only got a world title, first of with Access Surf in competition, but she also is the first woman
Yep.
to receive a world title. I mean, it's huge. So
It's a
on
big
your
deal.
shoulders,
And it's the same world title that I won after working with you in Cloudbreak, the ISA Olympic qualifier for surfing.
Wow,
And she won the same event for adaptive surfing, the ISA World Games
that's
for
so
adaptive
huge.
surfing. So it's like the biggest gold medal and most prized title you could have in the surf world, pretty much.
Yeah.
And like, you know, just I remember her calling.
So that to me is more than any trophy on your mantle.
Oh,
On
totally.
any given day, any plaque that you have.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you go in you guys' house and you can just sit there. You guys got some decor floating around. It's cool, and to hold in your heart that you inspired someone like that to go, and you created a passion within her, and she ran with it, and it was she went all the way.
You know, I don't think that's all me too. I think that's from your inspiration too. I mean, you invited her down there and shared that with her, and I think the other kids too really motivated her. She got down on the beach and she saw all these kids having fun. She just wanted to have fun too. I mean, and she got off her wheelchair and started running around on hands and knees in the sand, and all the other kids are looking at her like, wow, she's having fun.
Yeah,
let's go have fun too. You know,
she goes for it. She
totally.
charges.
Oh,
I've seen her dad's gotten her on skateboards and seen her just bombing hills, and she's pretty what is it? No holds barred. Just bull rushes it.
Totally.
And charges whatever she does. You almost kind of be careful with putting something in front of her because she'll go. And you know, I hope she makes it again this year. I'm pretty sure she will.
Oh,
and
yeah.
she's going to be reigning champ, and hope she brings home another one to Hawaii.
Yeah. I remember the day before that event, her and her father Jerry FaceTimed me, and I remember just sending her luck, you know, and just being so proud of her for, you know, I mean, number one, having an awesome super dad to support her and bring her out to California and allow her to follow her dreams like this, and the next day, I get a call early in the morning. I wake up to this phone call, and I put the phone against my face and
screaming. Yeah.
And she's like, "It's FaceTime." And I go and I look, and she's holding this big gold medal.
Wow.
And she's just lit up, and I couldn't help myself. I just started crying tears of joy straight out of bed. First thing I woke up, and I remember, you know, my girlfriend next to me, she started crying too because she knows Ava, and she saw the light in her eye, and I mean it's just so cool because she's inspiring me, you know, to be as best as I can be and always have a good attitude no matter what. Always go out there and make the most out of it, and always make sure to uplift the people around us because that's something she does.
Yeah.
And I think having her at our Inzane Super Grom events, that was my favorite thing. Was having Ava have fun with all the other kids, and I think the other kids could also, you know, relate to Ava as well, and to find an emotion such as compassion in a young child.
Yeah, and get inspired by her and her.
Yeah, totally.
And her, and her angelic stoke and just her outlook on life.
Oh yeah,
yeah. She's I was over there on Oahu recently and just hanging out with her, and you know, getting her to school is amazing and fun. She's just like wake up, you know, it's a party,
game time.
Yeah, game time, full on. So Zane, you've got another recent accomplishment on your belt. One I'm super stoked for you. You got a book.
Oh yeah,
that came out.
Oh yeah.
Any input on how people can get their hands on it? And
totally.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, thanks for putting it out there, Spice. Yeah, I just published my first book. It's called Beneath the Surface, and you know, I guess the title can describe what it's about. You know, just how underwater reef formations, you know, create waves above the surface. I also have hidden motivations and inspirations that have allowed me to get to the point that I'm at today. And so throughout this book, it's actually a compilation of over a decade of journaling.
Wow.
So, I mean, I've kept a daily journal for over 5 years, and I've kept a journal for over 10. But been journaling twice a day daily for over 5 years, and have a bookshelf filled with journals. And my grandma,
that's amazing. Like
yeah,
all this is in my head. All this
yeah,
medicine. I wish I journaled any of it. You know,
yeah,
and it's all up here and here.
totally.
I do journal. I think the only thing I do journal is when I'm perfuming and doing oils, the yields and information that I
Totally.
get from
Yeah.
it, because it's something that it's like
Important. Yeah.
it's important. And this I should start journaling it. So anyway, sorry, your grandmother.
Yeah. So my grandmother gifted me my first journal when I was like 11 years old, and
Wow, that's cool.
and she told me, Zane, you gotta write your experiences with the world and its people down, or else one day you'll be grandma, grandpa, and I's age, and it'll be harder to remember.
Yeah.
And so
and reflect. And
yeah. And so she said, if you write it down, it'll never be forgotten. And I've wrote down those powerful moments, and the impactful moments, and emotional highs and lows ever since then. And more recently, I've taken on the daily practice of journaling. And I give so much credit to this tool that I've attained through my grandmother, and it's allowed me to go above and beyond, not just tracking competitions through a performance journal, writing down the conditions and what equipment I was on and how I felt the morning before, what I ate, so that the next year when I go and I want to win again, I look back at my journal and I can see,
wow,
this is what I was writing. I had these
reflect
size
on your
fins.
personal
I ate
secrets.
this before.
Yeah.
I was feeling in this state of mind, and I could. It's all there. It's a time capsule, and I could use it as a tool to always make sure it's better.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think throughout this book, it's not just me, telling stories of how I have so much fun and win these events. It's not like that at all. It's a book for the reader. It's a book for the reader to feel like they've been in my shoes, experiencing the world and its people how I have, and being able to, I guess, hand off these tools and resources for the reader to, in return, create their own wave of success, and for them to, hopefully be inspired to, take on a practice such as journaling. So throughout this book, I mean, I make myself pretty vulnerable. Of course, it's publishing a book about yourself. I've been very truthful about everything, and it's came back rewarding, because at first I was like, I don't know if I want to put my life out there like this. Like, this is my personal things. My best friends, my brother doesn't even know a lot of the things that I'm sharing with the world right now with this book. And I'm really happy I did, because in a way it kind of is like weight off my shoulders. Like, just put it out there, and now people understand, where I'm coming from, and they want to support it.
It's healthy to open up, to be honest. You know what I mean? I would like to say a lot of us, but I think pretty much all of us need to. It's not good to hold things in, and if there's certain things that you feel like you're burying because it just doesn't feel healthy to say, then some of those things can create harm down the road or
totally
hold you back. And so, yeah, I'm proud of you, man.
Thank you, Spice. And you have a big feature in there too. I mean, when talking about one of my most prized victories at the ISA World Championship at Cloudbreak, I mean, I talk about our experience and how I met you, and what you did for me to help me get out of my major parasite and infection I had for over 3 years. I mean, and then a few years later, worked with you just before winning this title, and so throughout, I share the story, I guess, of this parasite I caught during a travel. It was within a month and a half period. I was in Morocco, Thailand, Tahiti, and Mexico, and I was hospitalized over 10 different times within a period of 3 years, and no doctor, no professional, going all over the place, Oregon, California, Mexico, Germany, being hospitalized all over the place. No one could pinpoint what was going on. No one could give me a definitive answer of how I could treat this. All I got was another prescription for antibiotics. And these antibiotics started to run me down more than the parasite, I believe. And it came to a certain point.
Actually feed the parasite.
It was bad. I mean, it came to a certain point where I feel healthy and I feel fit. If I'm anything but 110%, it sucks. But hey, I mean, you gotta work with it, right? But this was much, much worse than feeling anything but perfect. I mean, I lost over 25 pounds of muscle mass.
Wow.
I was consistently fatigued
And
during.
as an athlete, I mean, you need all that. You need your mana that gives you the drive.
Mm-hmm.
You need your strength, and not having that, it wears you down.
Totally.
I'm sure, because like there's so much expectation on you as a pro athlete.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah.
A lot of you gotta meet that pressure with performance, and I think that a big part of this stress was also because I was at the pinnacle of my career. And not only that, but it was at like the pinnacle of the sport of stand-up paddling. And all of a sudden I got hit with this.
Wow.
And I didn't want to stop. I didn't stop. I kept going. That's why I was hospitalized all over the world. And regardless of how I felt, I would wake up every single morning, 4 or 5 in the morning, twisting in my stomach, running to go, empty my stomach just with bile and acid, and it was terrible. I was throwing up before competitions, during competitions, people around me, people behind me. I'll be racing, and the person in second, third, fourth place will be like, "What? Are you puking?" No, you're like during the race, just totally emptying my guts.
Real.
And
I didn't know that it went to that degree.
It was terrible, and I couldn't get better. And then I met with you, and
how did we connect?
It was there was Pusser, I believe, got a bad infection when he was in Bali, and he helped you, right? Is it Pusser?
Or I helped him.
You helped him. You helped him.
Sullivan had a body weld or something like that.
Kevin was the person who introduced me to you.
Okay.
And I had a bad staph infection at that time. And Kevin Sullivan, local Maui surfer, he had this stuff called body weld.
Guy. He's another ambassador of Aloha.
He's the man. Yeah. We love Super Kev.
We all love Sully. Sully!
Yeah, Sully! But Sully had this really cool stuff called body weld, and he was giving it to me to put on my cuts.
Which is one of my products, guys.
Yeah,
it's available on my website, islandspicehawaii.com.
And sure enough, I'm like, I need to get some of this. And Kevin introduced me to you. We drove up to your lab. We're sitting here right in front of this awesome lab, and that was my first time experiencing a doctor of your caliber.
Well, I won't consider myself a doctor, and guys, I'm not a doctor. I'm not here to take on or replace your one-on-one physician. I just consider myself I don't even know a healer. Just I've had handed down family the knowledge of this stuff, and God bless me with the knowledge. He makes the herbs. I don't.
Yep.
It's all him. He gave us what we need.
Yeah.
And I wish I knew, because I've worked with so many people since then. I might even have your charts and figure out what I did to educate you guys on parasites. Parasites, as well as disease, viruses. The way I look at them is they're highly intellectual. So, especially a parasite, what they want to do is, let's say if I put my hands around your neck and try and choke you out, what are you going to do? You're going to fight back. You want to survive, right?
Totally.
It's a fight to survive. So parasites, the way I see it, from working with so many people and taking them on myself and utilizing stuff to get rid of them, they're very bright, very intelligent. We just think of, most people envision like a worm that's in you, right? So they go into your physical body, but they all go into your spiritual body. And when they go in your spiritual body, what they'll do is they'll choke that out so it doesn't operate and function properly, okay? So that, no matter what good food you eat, and certain foods that are good could have certain things that you're not breaking down properly at that point in time, because what they actually contributed to making your body not function properly. Then you'll produce acids in an environment that they can exist in. And so a lot of certain things will just feed them and give them a place to exist.
Yeah.
And so I just understand that, and it gives me, a thumbs up on the way to approach working with that. And that's basically how I helped you and have helped others. I've seen people get parasites. They couldn't get off the couch.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I
it
can
was
imagine.
like this giant center block holding them down.
Totally.
It just pulled your batteries out, and you got
It
zero
really
power.
does feel like that. I mean,
Yeah.
the amount, like, especially pushing myself to the edge from a performance point of view. I remember this feeling. I hate thinking about it, but I remember the feeling of your battery being drained, like this intense heat
Yeah.
going from the bottom of my spine up to the top of my neck, burning like lava, like burning sensation
Wow.
from the back of my spine up to my neck, and it just felt like it's gone. Like you're just drained after
Wow.
that. And I remember that feeling every time I'd feel it. I was pushing myself when I was unhealthy, and then I would go into a whole nother relapse because, like you said, I mean, they're creating this environment for their larvae, for their babies,
well, and for themselves to exist. They need an environment, and you got to understand. Like, look at a mushroom. A mushroom, I mean, there are some that are out in desert regions, but mushroom needs a certain environment, most like kind of damp and in the shade to exist. And so, same with those. Same with us. We go in a sunny, environment with waves pumping. So
yeah,
they're highly intelligent, and they know kind of what they need to do to exist, and they go through all extremes to do that. And
Totally.
luckily, God bless me with the knowledge and handed down from family and my ancestors. I give them credit. And knowing through the medicines here behind us, all the natural plants, an environment to kind of take their food source away, and then other stuff to put in the mix to come in and just thump them and knock them out, basically. And then you probably just all of a sudden just felt like, whoop, where you get all this energy back. And it might have taken a little bit for you. I've seen people where they just ghost white and then all of a sudden come out of the dead.
Yeah.
Others it might take a while. It just depends on what type of virus or what type of amoeba or parasite they have. And I can't thank you enough. I got a text from your brother, and it was a page that in your book.
Yeah.
And had me in there. I was like, wow. So, it's an honor, man, to be mentioned in anybody's book or anything like that. So thank you. And I'm glad,
thank you.
I'm glad I was there for you and part of your equation to,
You were.
taking your achievements to the next level that, you're envisioning and you went for and you achieved.
Thank you. If you guys want to read about the story that we're talking about with Spice specifically, or if you want to read the book, it's available on my website, zaneschweitzer.com, or it's also available on Amazon. If you go on Amazon.com and you search Zane Schweitzer or Beneath the Surface, it'll pop up. And it's a blue cover. Looks like it's being a photo being taken epic. Under the surface of me surfing. And it's a book dedicated to my grandmother. She passed away just
God bless her,
3 months before the book was published, and she was my biggest motivation to share these
beautiful
this with the world.
Yeah,
and,
she was awesome. Loved her.
I know Grandma Carolyn's there with me every step of the way.
Yeah, guaranteed.
But yeah, so I hope you guys could check it out and read the story.
Yeah, I actually was at your place today. Spoke with your mom. And she said that you sold out, but they're on the way, guys. They're on the way. They got a brand new batch coming, so check them out. I'm sure you'll get some type of inspiration and motivation from Zane and his book. Most definitely, guaranteed. So you've done a last question, because I know we got to wrap things up. I really always loved you guys did that super nuts. Kind of Hellman New Zealand competition.
Oh yeah.
But I guess my question is you've been around the world. I've done some nuts travel. Is there a favorite place? Like, I kind of just love it all. Is there a place that really stands out in your mind and your heart that you just can't shake and is like, man, that was just
100%.
You can't even put it into words.
Yeah.
Is there? Where is it?
Home is definitely that place where I just feel. I feel right in this area. And sometimes I don't know how to explain the feeling, but sometimes you're in a place and you just feel at home.
Yeah.
You feel comfortable. You feel like your energy is right and your stress is low. And home has always been that place for me. And outside of home, I've fallen in love with so many places, and I've been to over 50 countries in my young life, and had the opportunity to taste these different foods and experience the different people and
Cultures,
see the culture and really just look into the people's
waves,
lives.
yeah.
And I think that all those things add up to the experience. And some of my favorite places in the world is Tahiti and New Zealand. A big reason why, because it makes me feel like I'm home in Hawaii 100 years ago. And also, if I had to say outside of Polynesia, Peru. Peru has always been a place very close to heart. Not only because I did have an afterlife experience there, but it was the place that I got my first World Championship title, and it was a place that I feel like I have that spiritual connection. I feel like every time I go to Peru, something impactful is going to happen to me.
Spiritual place. I've surfed the entire coastline of Peru. I've done the Amazon, I don't know how many times, doing the Machu Picchu hike, but man, there's places, and I like to keep secrets on things. Machu Picchu's got nothing on. I mean, it doesn't hold a candle. And there's more there that they haven't even uncovered. Those civilizations were just incredible.
So advanced. I mean,
advanced naturally, and I appreciate that more than anything, because everything, it's sustainable. Just how there's waterways that come all the way from the Andes to the ocean that they drenched out and fed their whole communities and built cities and all that stuff, and lots of just spiritual things across the board, and I love all that type of thing. I'm huge with artifacts. That's a passion of mine. On top of everything else I love. And yeah, Peru's a pretty rad place.
And if you like potatoes, you got to go to Peru. And corn. They got more varieties of corn and potato tubers than anywhere else in the world.
I was in the mountain, and these guys did the walking llamas, and they had these packets, and I swear there was 300 types of corn. Literally, and they were trying to sell it or whatever, and for I think chicha, just different drinks, and the what is it there, is it the sashimi? No, it's not the sashimi.
Ceviche.
It's the ceviche. So most ceviche, it's like in milk and lime and all that stuff. Dude, they just thin slice it. They've got a puree of a red bell pepper and a yellow bell pepper, and then they hit it with lime, put the purees on there, and these big dried corns, and you eat it right then, rather than give it cook time. And bro, it's just bomb. And the restaurant, the food, the chocolates. Oh man, I remember a bunch of different things that they were doing. And Amazon was
that's somewhere I really want to go.
A unique place. I can definitely say it's kind of like New York, but a jungle. Why? The place doesn't sleep. It's always going. Always going. And I mean, I could sit here and rattle off the stories, dude. I was in a chief village. They loved me, and there was 2 girls the chief tried to offer me, and they had basically coconuts and wearing straw or whatever, and wrapped in white natural painting with big giant snakes on them, doing dances for me.
Big snakes around the neck.
Snakes around them. These super gorgeous Amazonian tribe girls. And then I was in this one area. I had a pet monkey when I was there. I was there for a little while. Gordita, and I thought it was really cool. Not to jump too much off subject, but mosquitoes. You're thinking an Amazon will just pick you up and fly off with you. I would say that one time I was down there in 6 weeks, I probably got bit 6 times.
Wow.
Why is that? So when you watch the sun go down, you'll see these little flurries coming off of different areas, and it's bats. And a bat can eat, I want to say, up to 13,000 mosquitoes in a night.
Wow.
Yeah, so we need more here.
We need some bats.
And they would, I barely bit, and it was, I'll go over some more time in the jungle, and oh man, dude, I was up in this village with these shamans and riding horses on inclines like this in the dumping rain. Horses were spreading out, eagle sliding down the mountain with me on the back.
My
And
God,
then
that
next thing you know,
sounds
I'm like
crazy.
up in the mountains doing some kind of juice up my nose with these shamans, and it was just like I got blasted, went someplace, and it's part of my work doing that kind of thing. But and the experience of it. But the craziest thing about that experience is, you're in Peru, and I'm like, I could speak enough Spanish or listen to get around. I thought I was in there when I went to this place, and I'm not going to say where it is. I'm keeping that a secret because I just don't want, blow that up like everything else is getting blown up. The people of that area spoke a very ancient language, probably the oldest language, definitely in Peru, and I had no idea what they were saying. So yeah, so pretty. That's just how it goes with my trips.
Immersed,
guys.
immersed
I
in the
get off a
culture.
plane when I travel. I'm pretty much leaf in the wind. I just let spirit blow me, and I'm not even looking for that kind of thing. Next thing you know, I'm off of shamans out in the middle of nowhere, and crazy stuff. I've got the most nuts stories without any effort of even thinking to go and do that kind of thing, and it just finds me and takes me there. So pretty rad. So book. Yes, thank you. Everyone, check it out. Wrapping things up, I guess I want to call it my inspiration corner, and that would be when you wake up in the morning. What do? Your diet, all that things. Like for instance, me, before I even open my eyes, I'm grabbing a crack pipe, taking a huge hit, and then I'm filling a bowl with sugar frosted snacks.
I was like, wait, what?
All sugar, and then
what's going on?
And then I watch a video watching someone do 40 jumping jacks, and I tell you what, man, I feel like a false alarm missile launch in Hawaii, and just lit up. So, guys, sorry, I'm just kidding. Kids don't smoke crack unless both mom and dad give you permission, and they better not. No. You're in the shoes that I was in. Guys, I had a shack in the mountains, and I basically lived pretty much 100% sustainable. Mm-hmm. I caught my rainwater, and I miss it, drinking rainwater, showering in rainwater, especially Hawaiian rainwater, guys. Clean. Obviously, there's things in the sky, we're all tripping on chemtrails and stuff like that, and other things that can be catching, but you just feel this sparkle coming off you when you're doing rainwater showers and drinking, and then all my perfuming I did with natural rainwater, watering my plants, which you can see a huge difference compared to the garden hose. And then I had basically every fruit tree in the world. I was bow hunting giant pigs to eat right off my front porch. Go down the bottom of the mountain and jump in the ocean, shoot a couple fish. So it was a very sustaining lifestyle that I appreciate. And the shack, which Zane got to experience, I didn't bring too many people up. You felt like you're part of nature.
Totally.
You lived with nature. You had the wind blowing through the house all day. I didn't really have walls. It was screened, and then God, it had a tin roof, and you get pounding rain, and you were basically kind of like a bird in a nest, basically.
Yeah.
And I, went through some heavy transitions last year, 2017. Definitely a challenging year for not only myself, for others. And those of you who did experience some heavy challenges, I send love to you, and you're not alone. But we're all going to bounce back, and life's going to get all beautiful and even more than you could ever ask for. And so I've seen now, congratulations, you got killer little Pat. At your family's place, and that's why I appreciate your family so much. You guys are so tight, because a lot of people, they grow up, they fly out of the nest, they're gone. You and your brother, your sister's at school, she'll probably be back. You guys just hang tight, and no one wants to go anywhere because there's so much love with this family. Not saying there's not love in other families, but like, you're all stoked to just be right there together. And congrats, you've got this new place, an awesome girl with a really nice heart and mind frame similar to yours at helping others, and cleaning up. And what you guys do? You guys just did a trip to the Philippines and brought clean water or some kind of thing?
Kim Yap, my girlfriend for the last 2 years, she recently won Miss Hawaii Filipina, and her big goal was to travel to the Philippines, where her father's family is from, and give back to some of the tribes there that have been slammed by recent natural disasters. And so I got to be a part of this trip with her, and support her and her endeavors there and be a part of it. And it was so cool to experience the Philippines for my first time with her as almost a sideline viewer and not necessarily coming to an event for a competition. It was a little bit of time to sit back and enjoy and really be there for her. And I was so proud to see the work she did. I mean, setting up clean water stations, donating all kind of school supplies, first aid, clothing.
Wow, I feel it's just a beginning for her.
Yeah,
and
totally.
you guys are on a good path for helping others, and thank you. And I'm sure that everyone that experienced you guys' presence and your gifts are overly thankful.
Totally, yeah. I'm thankful for her presence, that's for sure. And Kim and I, you were asking what we do when we wake up in the morning at the family compound, and what kind of our daily habit is. We wake up together. We like to go. We like to wake up early. We usually wake up between 5 and 7 a.m. and we'll usually go straight to the garden before it's sunny out.
Awesome.
And we'll water everything we have from our rain catchment, which you inspired me to kind of, coming up to your house inspired me to take steps towards a more sustainable lifestyle. And I even had you up there trying to set up solar panels one day. And but yeah, it's we like to garden our plants first thing in the morning. Then we do a little workout, whether it be a run or workout at our house, just break a sweat first thing. And then we break into a nice smoothie. And excuse me, we right out of bed, big glass of water.
Yeah.
Really important. Right when we get out of bed, big glass of water we drink. Then after gardening and our workout, we like to have a big smoothie. My brother has a big green thumb, so we walk through the garden and pick whatever is fresh and available, and blend it up with all kind of different herbs and some spices like turmeric or some mint or lemongrass, whatever we have around that's available, and then from there start off whatever activities it is. For me, it usually training is in the mix for sure. I have to get at least 3 hours of training in almost every day. And then family time is a big part of it, of course. Almost every morning or every day at some point between our schedule that we have planned, my mom or dad or brother will be yelling over, "Hey, Zane!
Yeah.
Hey, come help out over here!"
Classic.
So it's like, so we all help each other out whenever we need a hand. And but really, I mean, whenever people ask me this question, what's your day in the life? What's going on? I like to always say that nature is Mother Nature makes the call. Because at least if it's my kind of day, I want to be able to read the weather, see if there's wind blowing, and if there is, go windsurf. Or look out the ocean, see some north swells wrapping around the corner, and put my board in the truck and go surf.
Yeah.
And
what directions the wind and the swells.
Yeah, totally.
And, everything like that. Diet-wise, you've gone vegan, vegetarian?
Yeah, I've been whole
And
food
you've
plant-based
inspired
for over
her
a year.
For over a year.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
And I actually am not 100% whole food plant-based. I made a promise to myself to always continue.
And she's going that route as well.
Yeah, Kim is also.
You guys had me over for Christmas, and I almost called the cops on her for she was just killing it in the kitchen. She's making all these dishes and full vegan, vegetarian, whatever it was, and it was just straight up bomb.
That's so funny, because our first date together, our first real date, she was trying to cook a vegan dish for me. And it was the first time she ever cooked for me. And it was one of our first dates. And I remember calling her like, "Hey, I'm on my way." She's like, "No, don't come. It's not ready." Wait 30 minutes, call. "No, I need another 30. Hour later, call it. "It's not ready." I mean, I'm talking 3 hours after the time we're supposed to meet. Finally, we get together, and it's like this little plate of food, like carrots and peas, and this is all. I tell her, this is awesome, but really, it's like in a puddle of butter, is not necessarily vegan, but now
for effort.
I'm talking a transformation within like 4 months. She's become such an epic vegan cook, learning from different podcast shows online and YouTube channels, and yeah, I love being able to come home and she's got a big old meal ready. But I actually 100% whole food plant based unless I catch the fish or catch the animal. I like to be able to bless it myself.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with bow hunting, spearfishing.
Yeah,
all
and
that I do.
and it's not necessarily that I'm changing my lifestyle, because it was a big change. I mean, it was a big transition, and it wasn't necessarily for help, my own personal health.
Reprogramming yourself that, like how to be creative
Yeah.
with just, something you grew. I grew up, both sides of my families were hunters, both sides of my families were farmers, and I mean, huge fields. My papa had huge farms. And what's crazy is there was no, GMO for us then, and the word organic wasn't around.
Yeah.
It was just, you just get the garden, you eat, and
Yeah.
pretty much sustain yourself that way. And you've traveled and you go to all these foreign countries when you're serving in a lot of places. Like, when I was down in Brazil, I really appreciated, like, you be in the big city of Rio or wherever, and there's like a place maybe the size of this room, and you just point, man, and there's just fruit galore, all these crazy fruits, and it's like, and then they blend it and there's juice, and it's 50 cents.
Oh yeah.
And those Brazilians, man, they got so much energy. They're all just springing around.
Yeah.
And you kind of wonder why, because they eat so well, but it's like, it's not a fad.
Yeah.
Just like in Indonesia, they eat really well,
Yeah.
and it's not a fad. It's not like, oh, we're eating healthy, it's just what you wake up and do, and it's the norm. And it's difficult, since I'm not where I was before with every fruit tree in the world and all this stuff going. Having to buy things, it's pricey. It's like, carrot juice, like $4 to $6 just for a little carrot juice.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, I still look at it as a fad rather than just the norm that it should be.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy for you to have a garden, and then you guys got a lot of fruit trees on the property. And
thanks to my dad and brother.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, super cool, and it is a blessing. I wish that just the way I envision things is parks all around are just covered in fruit trees. They're for everybody. I think at some point I'll have a show where I just inspire people through grafting and growing, and then create a challenge for everyone to grow and just go plant somewhere.
Yeah,
for others, not for yourself, but for others.
Actually, on that topic too, there's something that I want to challenge you guys to do. So anytime you're about to go on a trip, anytime you're about to jump on an airplane or go on a long drive, you're going to be making a pretty big carbon footprint, plant the tree before you do your trip. I try and do this every time I go on a big trip, and I try and plant a larger tree because with a longer life expectancy, because of course it's going to remove more CO2 from our environment. It's going to give more oxygen to our environment, and so it's a fun little thing to do.
Give a home to little things, birds, bugs, all that stuff, creatures,
So every time you go on a trip, you don't have to feel as bad about leaving home or about contributing to the carbon footprint problem. And for me, I like to always feel like what I'm doing is Pono, and air travel isn't necessarily Pono, but when I go out and I plant the tree before I go, and when I arrive, I make sure to give back a little bit in that community, and that makes me feel like it's right. And so yeah, there's a challenge to you guys. Next time you go on a big trip, go on an airplane, find a little tree to plant or a big tree to plant, put it in the ground near your house or in your community farm area or wherever you can.
Amen, amen. Zane, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. I'm sure we'll probably do another. And,
I hope so.
Yeah, real quick before we close it out, what is next for Zane and your input on Stand Up World Tour?
Yeah.
What's coming?
So we got a really exciting year with the Stand Up World Tour. It's called the APP, the Association of Professional Paddlers.
Wow.
And I'm also following another world tour, the IWT, and that's the International Windsurf Tour. And so I'm following a few different sporting events. I have over 35 events on my schedule already this year. And one of the things I'm really looking forward to outside of my competitive career is getting this book out to the world. I have quite a few book launches planned, and
Right on.
starting to get a lot of speaking engagements and engagements with people on my travels. And for me, I love to be able to be able to, engage with people and meet new people and share stories, and hopefully be able to, stoke out some people when I'm there. And um, that's something I'm really excited for, is to launch my new
Stoked
career
for you,
as
yeah.
as an author and as a speaker and a storyteller.
Yeah, hopefully that's a stepping stone to something bigger for you.
Yeah.
So Zane, before you leave, I gotta let you know how stoked I am that you came on the show, and it's good just to reconnect. And so I want to stoke you out and bless you with some goodies before you go.
Right on.
So I've got one of my herbals, the Surfer's Cleanse.
Oh yeah, I love this stuff.
Yeah, not only that, which can be found on my website, guys, islandspicehawaii.com. I got one for Kimmy. I think
Oh
Kimmy's
yeah,
stoked.
totally.
And
my girlfriend Kim will definitely.
which she always loves the mask. So this is
She does.
herbal face mask. Got to hook her up.
She
Body
tries
Weld.
to do me all the time.
Yeah, and so Body Weld.
Body Weld.
Swear by it, guys. Yeah. This stuff works. If you get cuts and rolled on the reef, this grows your skin back, kills the bacteria. I've seen it do nut stuff for so many people. Even on boat trips, man. I've seen guys, when we're doing boat trips, guys get rolled and think that they are not, their trip's done. Yeah. You know what I mean? And they put this on and boom, next day they're surfing, you know?
Yeah, I definitely love traveling with the Surfer Cleanse and the Body Weld. Just, the Body Weld just pack the cuts in. And
because you're amped,
surf
we got your surf amp for you.
Yeah.
And for your travels and your immunity, keep you solid because you are traveling all the time. We've got Travel Nectar. This is my immune formula. So we're hooking you up with that.
Unreal.
My sponsors are D-Curve. So this is my snowboarding goggles. And
what?
Yeah, because we've had
snowboard
Actually, these are for your girl. Because she's her first little snow bunny trip she ever had. So this stuff, check it out. These goggles, guys, the lenses are made of the same material that they use on the mask for astronauts for their space helmets.
No way.
So this stuff is nuts, man. Like the clarity that you get, and obviously the sun protection. It lets no UVs in.
Wow.
And just lights it up for you. So Kimmy's going to be amped, and I also
I might have to sample. Oh, what?
So
oh no way! We're gonna be matching up there in the mountains.
So you guys are amped.
The D-Curve gear.
So just give them a shout out,
No way.
And
Kimmy's gonna be so stoked.
Yeah, Kimmy's gonna.
That gives us an excuse to get out there again this winter.
yeah, because hopefully we get to be on the mountain again.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So,
wow,
yeah, man.
So
just thanks so much for being on the
on.
show. It means a lot to have you, and I'm sure you'll be back on. And it's been great talking story and expressing your magical life and the positive things you do for the environment and the inspiration you have for others. And so. It's the least I can do.
Mahalo nui, Spice. Really appreciate it, man. I'm so stoked to re-up on all your goodies, man. I swear by this stuff when I travel. Mahalo nui.
Yeah. So
epic.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
Cool. So we're good.
So I can't weed whack with these. Oh, I gotta snowboard with these.
These are like
these things are sick,
bro. They're epic, man. So yeah, D-Curve. Great
NASA
company.
Technology.
Yeah, NASA Technology. It's the same lenses they use for the space helmets, man.
I had so much fun talking to you today. Thank you. Honored to be a part of the show, and I look forward to hearing more of your guests and talk stories with Spice.
Yeah,
this is so cool. I'm hungry for more stuff like this. So thank you for putting it out there.
Yeah, right on. Obviously, it's an honor to have you, and love you guys. All of you tuning in, whether it's listening or viewing. I definitely want to say that I am me because of you. And I love you. I know Zane loves you. And I look forward to the next show coming up. And we wish you a magical day. So thanks, everyone. And big alohas. We'll get to my sponsors here in a second. And take care. Aloha.
Ahui ho.
Ahui ho.
I'd like to give thanks and a huge shout out to Aribe Tea Company. Aribe Tea is an amazing all-natural tea company that uses organic and locally sourced ingredients from right here in the Hawaiian Islands. Both brewed and bottled in Hilo, Hawaii of the Big Island with lots of flavors to choose from, Aribe Tea can be found at Island Naturals, Down to Earth, Safeway, KTA, and Times Supermarket, as well as all 7-Eleven stores. Enjoy an Aribe tea today. A huge mahalo goes out to Hawaiian Ola for their awesome noni juice shots. Noni fruit is the most widely known natural healing medicine throughout Polynesia. Used as a traditional medicine by Hawaiians for thousands of years, noni is recognized for its many numerous health-giving properties. These organic noni juice shots by Hawaiian Ola are farmed and bottled on the Big Island of Hawaii and can be found in over 400 locations in the islands, as well as hawaiianola.com. And a special thanks to Our for their pure grade, high quality, handmade incense. Hands down, Our makes the absolute best incense available. Pure, clean, and balanced with infinite heavenly, divine, exotic, and pleasantly beautiful scents and aromas to choose from. Be sure to check out their amazing all-natural hygiene products as well. Incense by Our is available at a health store near you or available online at ourmere.com. As for my surf sponsors, mahalo to Dakine for their awesome surf products, a trusted, loved, and recognized brand that originated right here in the Hawaiian Islands on the island of Maui in 1979. Dakine products are available at your local surf shop or their website, dakine.com. A definite thank you goes to Rawson Surfboards. Shaper Pat Rawson has been shaping surfboards since 1966, which includes shaping boards on surfing's most respected proving grounds, the North Shore of Oahu, since 1972. One of the most well-recognized Rawson surfboard moments is that iconic Tommy Carroll snap at the North Shore's infamous Bonsai Pipeline. Check out Rawson Surfboards at a surf shop near you or go to patrawsonsurfboards.com. And for my bow hunting sponsors, I'd like to thank ASAT Camouflage. ASAT stands for All Season, All Terrain. Be the tree or become the bush with ASAT's patented camo pattern that blends you into nature and masks you from the eyes of the game you're seeking to put on your dinner plate. Hands down, ASAT is the best functioning high-quality camouflage in the business. Get out in the field with your ASAT camo and see for yourself. Check them out at asatcamo.com. A big thank you to Cashtook Bowcraft for your handmade arrows. Cashtook Bowcraft makes not only handmade wooden arrows and bone broadheads, but also makes handcrafted self and longbows, bone knives, fire starters, muzzle loaders, and more. If you're a traditional bow hunter, wooden arrows is the only way to fly. Be sure to check out cashtookbowcraft.com. And now I'd like to reach out and thank my snowboarding sponsors, starting with D-Curve. Guys, D-Curve is a cutting-edge eyewear and lifestyle company pushing you to explore your boundaries and defy your limits. D-Curve uses the same patented technology that NASA uses in space to protect eyes from radiation that blocks out 100% UV rays and harmful blue light. D-Curve helmets, goggles, sunglasses, and more can be found at dcurve.com. Check them out. You'll be super stoked you did.
Eku, eku.
Eku no yakea, eku, eku, eku lana kila, eku, eku, eku ke olo eva, eku, eku, eku ike koa, eku koa e.
Aloha, this is Starboard Team Rider, Zane Kekoa Schweitzer. No, that's fucking shit. Yeah.
Whenever you're in.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Okay. Aloha, this is Zane Kekoa Schweitzer, Starboard Team Rider.